So I went back, rewatched the Ian Cunningham opening press conference, and one thing became abundantly clear to me, Falcons fans. Did he spill the beans on what our draft plan and our offseason plan is going to look like? Because some things were very telling in this most recent press conference. Welcome in, Falcons fans, to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Like I told you, I rewatched the presser, and one major thing stood out to me. His draft ideology. What does Ian Cunningham, as the GM now of the Dirty Birds, want to do in the 2026 NFL Draft? Well, he's not going to say anything specifically. There wasn't a specific player that he mentioned, but he did mention kind of like what the overall plan is going to be in his head, and it's all about acquiring draft picks. Speaking of which, the Falcons only have 5 in this 2026 draft, one of the lowest amounts in the entirety of the NFL. But if you go back and listen to what he had to say, he reiterated countless times, over and over again, the importance of pounding the draft picks, acquiring draft capital. In fact, he called it currency. That's kind of what he said. He was like, it's like money. Like, you want to accrue as much as you possibly can. And Joe Patrick, who I found to be perfectly surmising exactly what Ian Cunningham's general message was in this press conference, was that Ian Cunningham said the team is clearly aiming to build through the draft and accrue picks to do so. He also mentioned that in his first draft in Chicago in 2022, they had 5 draft picks. And he ended the process drafting 10 players that year. So how do you go from 5 draft picks to 10 draft picks? Well, you trade down. Here's what Blogging Dirty had to say about it, because they are of the same mindset that Moose is. And by the way, check out Blogging Dirty. They are excellent. I love that. It's one of the best blogs online you can find about the Atlanta Falcons. During his opening press conference, Cunningham spoke constantly on the importance of draft capital. He referred to the draft picks as currency and made it clear he hopes to stockpile picks over the years, which could mean the Falcons are hoping to trade down and land more selections in 2026. The Falcons have several needs they need to address this April, with wide receiver, defensive back, both sides of the trenches, both on offensive line and defensive line, and the main ones being quarterback insurance. This is way too many needs to address in 5 picks, especially since they're not going to be able to find a blue chip prospect. Now, I disagree with that. I know the blue chip prospect is quite literally a definition that they use, but I think a lot of people get confused when they hear that as good player. You can find plenty of good players throughout the entirety of the draft. But with less draft picks, you have to be more and more diligent about landing your players, because you can't have a 100% hit rate. You can get as close to 100% as possible, but the odds of you hitting 100% of your draft picks are slim to none. And first things first, we got to see what free agency brings. Let's be so for real about this. Based off of the moves that they're going to make in free agency, the Falcons that is, they could go after wide receiver in free agency, and then really, you don't need to touch on it as much in the draft. So free agency first, then the draft. But the Falcons' needs, as it stands right now, are nose tackle or defensive tackle. Wide receiver are my high priority needs. Middle priority is cornerback. Middle priority also quarterback depth. And then lower priority, I would say, is offensive line, considering we're getting 2 really, really strong offensive linemen, one starting, one swing player back in Caleb McGarry and Storm Norton, respectively. So let's just go back to Chicago for a second. 2022, Ian Cunningham, first draft with the Bears, and Ryan Poles. Mind you, he did not select these players. Ultimately, Ryan Poles has final say, but he did have a hand in these draft selections. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Velus Jones, Braxton Jones, Dom Robb, Zach Thomas. You can go on and on here with all these picks. Only 3 of these players right now, by the way, 4 players on these in this draft are still currently on the Bears roster, with the only actual considered home run picks being Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker. Braxton Jones seems to be kind of like a rotational offensive lineman, and Dominique Robinson, same thing as a rotational defensive player. But Ian is right about one thing. So you could look at that draft class and go, that's not really that great. But Ian did say something in this press conference that I believe is 100% on the mark. If you think the roster has a great core, which he said there's already a great group of players in here, then trading down actually makes a lot of sense. Because think about it. If you only kind of need to smooth out the edges of a couple of positions here and there, this isn't the Titans, guys. This isn't a team that is just full of holes all over. This isn't the New York Jets that need absolutely everything in order to rebuild the team. The Falcons have a good pass rush. They have a good enough offensive line. They have a great running back room. They have a great safety room. They have competent and above average linebackers. I could go on and on and on. They need a couple of areas here and there. Wide receiver, defensive tackle, a little corner help, add a little bit of quarterback depth. You could trade down. So I'm not going to say I would, because I got to see what we do in free agency first. But I would not be opposed to trading down from the 48th overall pick. Remember, we don't have a first-round pick. That was a James Pierce Jr. move. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below. This is going to be the pinned comment of today's video. Give me a yes or give me a no. All right, I feel like I got to address this because for some reason, y'all think I hate Michael Penix Jr., and that is the farthest thing from the truth. So I'm going to address it. I'm going to talk about it, and we're just going to get this out of the way and never mention it again. What about Michael Penix Jr. and his future? I'm going to tell you what I think coming up here in just a moment. Now, before that, though, I got to tell you about my friends over at Factor Meals. What a delicious product, if you don't mind me saying. And listen, my friends, Factor definitely is one of those things that I use when I don't have a lot of time to cook. If you want to eat better, but you have zero time and zero energy to make it happen, Factor doesn't ask you to meal prep or follow recipes. It just removes the entire problem. 2 minutes, real food, you're done. 100 rotating weekly meals for you to choose from, including lean proteins, colorful vegetables, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats, the stuff you'd make if you had the time. You get quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, like I said, those colorful veggies, and healthy fats. It's always fresh, never frozen, ready in 2 minutes, no prep, no cleanup, no mental load. So head to factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 off. Use code FalconsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. It's a great deal. Offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. So, first things first. Matt Ryan, Ian Cunningham talked about Michael Penix Jr. They mentioned this. They were asked specifically if Michael Penix Jr. is the guy. And I'll tell you what they said coming up here in just a minute, but I have to address the elephant in the room real quick. I cannot tell you how many fans think I hate Michael Penix Jr. That is a ridiculous notion, and it's a really dumb take. I have a very realistic take on Michael Penix Jr. And my take, I'll tell you coming up here in a little bit, but here's what Matt Ryan said about Michael Penix Jr. He and Ian Cunningham, by the way, were side by side on this. So if you're going to get mad at anybody, get mad at these guys. Neither of us are the head coach of the football team. So we cannot answer your question on if Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the starter. I think as we start to get into the process and dive deeper into the roster, how it currently stands, where we're going in the future, all of those are conversations that will be a part of it. Here's the reality. If Matt isn't committing, how can we commit? Let me ask you a question. Does the Washington Commanders front office, do they have any doubt about Jaden Daniels' future as the quarterback? Do the Bears have any doubt about Caleb Williams? Do the Patriots have any doubt about Drake May? Do the Broncos have any doubt about Bo Nix? No, none of them do. So the fact that Matt Ryan is even saying, well, we're not going to make any decisions yet, that's telling. They're not married to Michael Penix Jr. And if you want more facts to back this up, 5 season-ending injuries in 8 years, multiple ACL surgeries, very little development, that's a Zach Robinson problem in my opinion, last year, no ties to Ryan and Cunningham, he's bad against the blitz, and he can't move outside of the pocket. It's not Penix hates. It's just a shorter leash. You got to be realistic about this. I wish Michael Penix Jr. didn't have the injury history. I think there's a lot there. He throws with timing. He throws with anticipation. He's got great ball placement. He's got, believe it or not, when he's actually running, he's got sneaky athleticism. But he has a much shorter draft or leash in this draft class than almost all of those quarterbacks, the only exception being J.J. McCarthy. Why? Look at the success the other quarterbacks in the 2024 draft class are having. Caleb, deep playoff run. Bo Nix, deep playoff run. Jaden Daniels, deep playoff run. Drake May, Super Bowl. There's 4 that are all progressing further along than Michael Penix Jr. Don't give me that they've had better coaching. Caleb Williams had Matt Eberflus last year. Gets Ben Johnson, boom, good to go. I mean, yeah, exactly. The Patriots had Gerard Mayo. So stop telling me that Penix deserves more and more time. He's had 12 games. I think he'll start at the very beginning of the season. But if you get to week 9, where he's at start number 21, and he has not improved his game, there is a very realistic possibility that Michael Penix Jr. gets benched. You got to add a quarterback regardless, because we all think Kirk Cousins is gone. So who are you going to roll with as your backup? Easton Stick? Stop it. That's ridiculous. So for everybody that is going to get down to the comment section and just like, Moose just hates Michael Penix Jr. No, I don't. I also don't love Michael Penix Jr. I think there is a lot of things we are uncertain about when it comes to MPJ, but you have to be realistic, my friends. The leash got shorter when he had another ACL injury, something the Falcons were very aware of when they drafted him. So you can't bank on Michael Penix Jr. being healthy for the remainder of the season. It's just not realistic. If you love the content, by the way, sorry to get heated for you. If you love the content, make sure you hit subscribe. But if you want even more thoughts, analysis, my 2 cents on the Dirty Birds, go follow Falcons Today IG. We're growing that Instagram community. I think we've almost got 700 followers, by the way, on Insta. And don't forget, hit that thumbs up icon. That's all I got for you today, Falcons fans. I'll be back tomorrow with some more news and rumors. Hopefully something doesn't huge happens, but if it does, I'll be here to break it down for you, no matter if it's a live or just a regular video for you. As always, rise up and be cool.